Good morning, afternoon, and evening, everybody. I love you all. My name is miahtheking, and here's a friendly reminder to never trust atoms. They make up everything. Thank you very much for clicking on my video, and I hope you stick around. If not for the funny jokes or tidbits at the start, then perhaps because I can help you figure out if you need a game in 10 minutes or less. Now then, today we're taking a look at a game just released on Steam called Tales of Seikyu, and I really hope I'm pronouncing that right, but I'm pretty sure I'm not. In fact, let me just go ahead and apologize now for all the random words I'm about to pronounce wrong throughout the video. This game is a slice-of-life farming simulation game developed by Ace Entertainment and published by Fireshine Games, released in early access and selling for $25. So, what even is this game anyway, and is it worth it? Well, let's dive into the good and the bad and find out for ourselves, shall we? So in this game, you play as a yokai, which if you don't know what that is, allow me to explain. Yokai are supernatural beings like spirits or ghosts or demons or monsters or whatever, set in Japanese folklore. You play as one descendant from foxes. You arrive on an island filled with other yokai, and this island, this village, was originally founded by your ancestor foxes. So everyone is super excited you finally decided to return to your ancestral homeland, and there aren't any other foxes, including your parents who you've been searching for. Needless to say, now that you're here, it's time to take up the ancestral farm of your ancestors and build it back up. Discover the mysteries of the Fox clan, search for clues to your parents' whereabouts, make friends, fall in love, and restore the ancient fox traditions. Got all that? Alright, now let's go into the good and the bad, starting first with the good. So the first positive is the graphical design. Now it's not super high-tier graphics or anything, but it's not bad. It's got that anime-esque feel going for it, and it's actually rather charming. Even the character portraits are pretty well done, and overall I enjoyed what I was seeing. Sure, it's not perfect or super detailed or anything, but the detail that is there, along with the contrast, the color choices, the blending in shadows or animations, it's all just really well done for an early access game, so I wanted to make mention of it. Next up for the positives is the gameplay. The gameplay is pretty legit and kind of interesting. I once played a farming sim game where the main factor of gameplay was using dinosaurs as farming tools. This one for watering, this one for construction, this one for plowing, etc. Here they use a familiar method where you yourself can transform into different creatures and utilize their abilities to help you with things around your farm or even during combat. You can turn yourself into a boar and plow the fields and then turn yourself into a giant slime to water the fields. It's definitely unique and a new take on the entire process and pretty seamless and interesting in the grand scale of things, because here instead of getting different tools you get different shapes. Now not everything is perfect. The gameplay does have its issues. For instance, the combat is a bit wonky right now. I'm assuming it's due to the game being in early access. The hit detection is a bit off despite being in combat or not, because you use the same combat animations to chop trees and stones as well as enemies, and sometimes your hits just don't connect despite being within range. Dodging is also a bit laggy, so it's hard to time the enemy strikes to your dodging, and overall the motion and flow of combat is just off. It mimics My Time at Portia vibes all the way through its gameplay, so if you're familiar with MiAh games, then you'll feel right at home with this one. It's a farming sim game, so the kind of gameplay you'd expect is there. Build and upgrade and customize your home and farm based on resources you collect whilst out and about. Talk with people and give them gifts to get a better relationship with them, make friends, get married, go do fun events at scheduled times, farm, place your products in a box that this guy will retrieve from every night and leave you gold in the morning. It's all the same typical stuff you've seen in games like this, so there's not much more to talk about here. Basically, if you've played those games in the past and liked them, this game will feel great and play great and be a lot of fun, with the only unique thing about it so far being your ability to transform, so keep that in mind going forward and if you're still interested. Next up for the positives is the writing, plot, lore, idea, yada yada. I guess originality. Basically, the game's writing is fairly well done. It's got that anime feel but without being cringy. It's got a pretty decent story of searching for missing parents while connecting with the spirits of your ancestors, and overall, it was interesting enough for me to not be bored despite me playing hundreds of games like this. Along with a diverse cast of interesting characters with different unique personalities and backgrounds and ways of speaking, the writing quality overall was just pretty good. I love the lore, I love the style, I love the idea. And last but not least for the positives is the user interface. It's okay, I guess. It's not the best in some areas, but in some areas it's pretty perfect. Like when you're running around looking at stuff, it's great. But when you're in menus, it starts to become a bit convoluted, which to me is a bit of an error on their part. It's very different from what I've seen in the past, and while it does work, it doesn't really make a lot of sense. Regardless, it was fairly seamless and organized without being ugly or overbearing, so that's why it's in the positives. Alright, so that's all I could think of to talk about positively with the game. Now we gotta go into the negatives, but before that, just a friendly reminder that if you're enjoying this video, or at the very least finding it informative, consider joining my Royal Guard by hitting that subscribe button. Also make sure to hit that notification button too. I mean, my whole point is to help people save time and money. It's why my videos are so short, and it's why I talk so fast, and why I started this channel. But I can't help you if you don't know when I'm putting out content, so hit that notification bell so I can help you out. Alright? Alright. Now on to the negatives. The first negative for me is the sound design. Now overall, the musical design is really good. Like, the music sounds great. It fits the theme and it's always present without being overbearing, annoying, or cringy. But I start to have issues with the sound effects and the ambiance. Overall, the sound effects can be hit or miss. Sometimes they sound good, sometimes they're missing, or they don't sound good at all. But with a lack of voice acting or ambiance, the game really starts to feel very fake, very dead. Let me show you a scene. Here, the only thing you can actually really hear is the music, but this is a scene that should definitely have other sounds. There should be cooking food sounds, like foods, when you take meat and place it on a steaming hot pan, the sizzling, you should hear sounds like that at least. The flame snapping sounds, animals in the distance sounds, wind rustling through the trees, the murmur of a crowd of excited people, the clanging of dishes on the table or in the kitchen. I mean, I could go on, but you barely hear anything other than the music, and this is pretty much throughout your entire experience. And with a lack of voice actors, it truly makes the game just feel dead, and that's a bit of a shame because imagine what you could have done here. Next up for the negatives is the stability. Now, yes, I know the game is in early access, and I'm sure it'll get cleaned up, but I still need to bring attention to them now. The game is filled with little bugs and glitches. The only positive thing I have to say is that none of them were game-breaking. Yet. Frame rate drops, screen tearing, sound glitches, NPCs getting stuck. I could keep going. I mentioned earlier how my weapon misses every third strike or so, despite the fact that I'm standing as close to that something as possible, so that's got to be another issue, right? The problem with bugs like these is that they start to add up and they start to annoy the player with the potential of ruining the entire experience, which puts a bad taste in their mouth throughout their gameplay. Yes, it's early access, but still, it's a bit hard to miss and hard not to mention, and it can ruin the experience for some people, so I gotta make mention of it. Then you've got the mechanics. They're okay, but not great. The overall reason why I placed them in the negatives is simply because as you play, you'll start to feel that something doesn't feel right no matter what you're doing. Chopping down a tree and having to manually pick up each piece of wood is odd for a game like this, as in most farming sim games, your character picks up resources automatically. And there's a reason why they all do that, by the way, for player satisfaction and to streamline a boring, grindy process. There's also the progression of stories, plots, and even crafting, which all seems to be really sluggish in pretty much every way you approach them, awkward and overall difficult to manage. And with the annoying mechanics designed in the user interface, it does make the entire process awkward and harder to manage comfortably. And this includes stories, missions, farming, and almost every process which they removed the streamlining from, thus making the choices actually feel like chores. It can be hard to adapt too, and it slows you down tremendously. And last but not least for the negatives is the price tag. This isn't the worst I've seen. Perhaps if it had actually had voice actors, I would have praised this price tag. But for its early access state, without voice actors to pay, without a finished product, with it as buggy and glitchy as it is, and lack of other sounds too, and I just can't really find myself justifying the price tag. In fact, I actually tried to do that first and realized I couldn't because I didn't have enough to say positively about the content to do so, so I had to put it in the negatives. Now, it's not awful, just slightly off. I'd say $20 for this in early access and maybe bumped up to $35 if corrections are made and once it's fully released. That'd be my opinion. So perhaps wait for a discount if you're super interested. Okay, so final thoughts. Overall, I feel like the game isn't really worth $25 right now, which is great because it's on sale for $22 until May 28th. It's lacking in a lot of ways, but honestly, overall, I still feel like the game is pretty good. Now, it's not perfect, and it clearly needs some work, but what I see here is a great foundation for a great farming sim game. It's reminding me of the early days of my time at Portia, which ended up becoming one of my favorites. There's a lot of good here going for it with easy access throughout gameplay, smooth transitions, smooth animations, cohesive gameplay components, and logically intuitive mechanics and simulations. I mean, I went into this thinking I wasn't really going to enjoy it and came out enjoying it far more than I had assumed. So, do I recommend it? I mean, yeah, if you're into farming sim games, then yeah, I mean, I actually really liked it. It's unique, it's original, different, yet similar enough to other games in terms of gameplay, mechanics, and UI that it's comfortable, and despite its price being a little bit mispriced, I still feel it's worth investing in, so yes, I do recommend it. It needs some work, but I do recommend it, and I hope you enjoy it. Alright, everybody? Alright, so that's all the time I got for today. Thanks so much for watching, with a special thanks to those of you who stuck around to the end. If you have any questions or concerns, please let me know in the comments down below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and I can't wait to see you all again on my next adventure. So until then, I bid you all farewell.